We have the amazing, wonderful Kristy, and I'm going to let her jump right into everything. But one of the things that I will say is I have seen a complete change since Kristy and I have been able to work together. And one of the sentences we use actually is overwhelmed to omnipresent. Trying to do all the things as an entrepreneur, plan your content, post it out there, get people to engage with it. Repurpose all the things, right? And ever since working with Kristy, all of that has completely changed, and it's been night and day difference. So I am so super stoked to have you on here with us today. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on over to you.
Oh, you're a poet. You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So I am thrilled, obviously, to be here. Content strategies, content repurposing, anything content is totally my love language. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Kristy Hansvik, obviously, and I help A-list players who care about how they show up in the world and refuse to settle for less than stellar results. And we help them with their content strategies. With their content repurposing, we have some done for you services. We have all the things I can tell you about later. But so today, though, I want to chat about, is your content driving the results that your business demands?
Yeah.
Because seriously, I want to talk about that for a minute. Results can mean a whole lot of different things. It can mean increased engagement. It can mean more sales. It can mean having a stronger social presence so that when you walk into a room, everybody knows who you are because of how you show up on social media. So that's results too. And I think the most important thing before you get started on any path is that you determine what results you're looking for and how you define results. I posted on my Facebook page yesterday, and there was a variety of things. Like, some people said results are sales, and some people said results are engagement, and some people said results are just getting more visibility online. So making sure that you are clear on what that is for you, because it's different for everyone, and it's different based on the stage of your business too. So think about that and set a goal. And more importantly, right now with COVID, of course, how you show up in the world and the results that you're getting and the content that you create needs to change. So I know we all love change, and we all love change because of a pandemic. It's one more thing you have to add to your list, but it needs to change. So that's what I'm going to share with you today, is the content strategies that you need to know right now. And for the record, so there's no confusion, content is all encompassing. It's any medium that you use to share your message. So it's a video, it's a blog post, it's social media posts, it's podcasts, it's comments on posts, it's interviews like this. All of that is considered content. So when I say content, I don't just mean a blog post, or it's all the things. Okay, so very first, you have to have a strategy. Strategy is what drives results, period. Like, there's nothing else to that. You have to have a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy or some direction, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. And we all know what a big, huge mess that is. So like I mentioned before, the first thing you need to do is identify your goals and be specific on how you want to achieve them. We had a client this year that wanted to double her following on Facebook. So we mapped out a plan of how she was going to do that. We gave her daily, weekly, monthly tasks so that there is never a question what she needs to be doing. And then, because things are constantly changing, we also meet every couple of weeks to make sure that she's on track too. Now, because she has that clarity and she knows what she's doing, she can pass that off to her VA or to her marketing assistant to help her implement. So just because you have a strategy doesn't mean that you're the one that has to implement. You can include your team, and you should include your team in that so they can help you implement.
And so I'm going to jump in here just because, one, the dog's quiet now, and two, this has been huge for us, right? Because we've always had some sort of a strategy, and I say we, me and my team, right, in terms of what we do with our clients and Pinterest and whatever. But every time I feel like we ramp up with the clients, my strategy would get put on the back burner. And so it was really hard for me to stay consistent with that strategy and know that the strategy is actually up to date and working and things like that. And so to be able to take a step back and go into different trainings that you've done in our group training sessions and things like that, and just see the different like questions that you would ask and like say, hey, are you doing this? Maybe tweak it and do it over here. And then not only that, but here's how you could bring somebody in to help you. Like that was huge, because you guys in this group know Claudine. She's in here all the time. She's amazing and wonderful and helps me 24/7 moderate this group and just engage in whatever. But to be able to have her also help implement things, right? Where I know that the strategy is done the way I want it, that I've written out the way I want things to be said, but she takes and implements it. That was huge for us. Like completely.
For sure.
Changer.
Yeah, for sure. Not having to, my team runs the same way. I do the strategy, I write the posts, I do that, and my team implements, because so that I can focus on this part, the marketing part and the teaching part, because that's the part that I love. So, okay. Second thing is that your content needs to be customer journey focused. And what I mean by that is your content needs to be geared towards your customer and their likes, their feeling, their objections, not so much yours. So last year was all about the hero's journey. And I'm sure you have all heard this format, or maybe you don't. I know that it's the hero's journey, but this format where it's, I was really high and then I lost everything and then I lost some more. So I was even down in the more down in the dumps. And then I learned this one thing and it made everything better. And now I'm a millionaire and I'm going to teach you too. Right? We've all heard that type of scenario or that type of story. That's the hero's journey. That was very 2019. Now 2020, people want to know, how can you help them? They don't necessarily care about your journey, how you got to where you are. They don't care about that. They want to know, how can you help them? How can you support them? Why should they hire you? Right? Do you remember those choose your own adventure books for when you were a kid? Or at least when I was a kid, I had that.
Yeah,
now they're like,
sure.
My son has one. It's like Choose Charlie or something. Anyway. But you know how the book, it's like at the end of the story, they pick their adventure, they pick their direction. Yep. They get to kind of self-select what path they're going to take. You want people to do that with you as well. So that no matter what level they're at, you can still support them. So what I mean by that is, somebody that is farther along in business, that is maybe past the 6-figure mark, they've been in business for a few years, they need a different type of support than those people that are maybe newer in business and just branching out to hire a team. Like that looks different. So you need to make sure that your content is addressing those different types of people as well, that you're engaging with them, that you're creating those conversations with them. So as you're posting on social media, or as you're creating blog posts, or you're creating videos, making sure that throughout that you're talking to those different tiers of people, so that you're hitting everyone, or that you're giving them the opportunity to engage with you. Now, if you're making it all about you, there's no opportunity to engage. Okay, third one is flexibility. So the days of planning out your content a month or even a quarter at a time are long gone. And I'm really sorry because I used to sit down and plan my content I would sit down once a quarter. I would pick out themes for each month. And then every month I would sit down and plan everything for the whole month. And since COVID, well, really since the beginning of 2020, that model just doesn't work anymore. Things are changing so frequently.
Yeah.
What are the levels of people? Okay. Nancy, I think it's different for every business. For me, I address people more at like the newer level that have, and for me, my levels are not how long you've been in business. It's how long you've been creating content. because you could have been in business for 20 years, but you've never been on social media. To me, you're more at the newer level. You're more at the beginner level. So I think it depends on that.
And this is from Amber. So Amber has a question. Shouldn't you try to be for everyone?
So you're still going to niche down. You still are going to have different people coming to you for different things. Like for me, people only come to me they don't only come to me. Sorry, I said that wrong. People come to me for content creation. There are people that come to me that are brand new in content creation. There's people that have been doing it for a while. And then there's people like Laura who have been doing it really for a while and they're ready for their next level of strategy. So because I want to
go too far in advance and didn't focus on right now.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I mean by you're not reaching, you still have a target market. You still have people that you serve best, but those people that come to you are going to be at different levels of the creation process. Yeah. So that's what I mean. I like to be relevant for what's going on. Yes. So with the flexibility, we have a client that before she started working with us, she was planning out her content in quarters at a time. Like she would go into her scheduler and she would schedule everything out for the quarter, which I know there's a lot of people that do that. Her mistake was that she wasn't then noticing what she posted on social media. So it would go out and she wouldn't go and engage. She wasn't aware of what she was posting on social media. So the mornings last year, or it might have been late 2018, of the mass shooting at the Jewish synagogue. Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
She had a post that went up that said, "What are you celebrating today?" And it was scheduled. And it was that morning and she didn't pay attention to what she was posting. And then all of a sudden she had these people calling her like, do you know what happened? Do you know what was you posted this morning? So when you're planning that far ahead, you're going to miss opportunities to, one, you might have an unfortunate event like that, but then you're also going to miss opportunities to be relevant to your audience. Because things are changing so much right now, you shouldn't be planning your content more than a week in advance. I know that adds more work, but it also is going to make you more relevant to your audience. Your audience is more likely to engage with you, and it's easier to keep the conversation going. So
yeah,
that is something I would say you need to change soon. So for me, my content days are Monday. I sit down on Mondays and I plan out everything for the week. I plan out what my Facebook Live is going to be, what my social media posts are, what I'm going to say in my group, what all the things. I sit down on Mondays and do it. So you can, whatever day works for you, but pick a day and have that be your content day so that you have time. You are taking time to intentionally plan what you're going to share for the week. You have to be hyper aware of what you're sharing these days, especially with the protests and the movements and COVID and everything else that is going on in the world. There's like too much craziness, right? So just make sure you're taking time to plan, but that you're also being flexible and that you are prepared to make last minute adjustments, because unfortunately they will come.
Do you have a suggestion or tip that you can provide if they're on the opposite side of the spectrum? So like someone like me coming into these tips and trainings that you were providing on how to stay flexible and stay relevant, like I already had, all this repurposed content for months. I wouldn't even say quarter, but like all this stuff. And like, that would be a complete overhaul for me to be able to go through and be like, oh, this isn't relevant anymore. This isn't. And full disclosure for everybody in the group or page, if you didn't know, I use, I don't even remember.
Oh, Smarter Q?
Yeah, Smarter Q.
Smarter Q?
Yep. Yeah, and so it like repurposes content for me and I can set a strategy for that. But with learning how you have to be more flexible and everything going on in the world, because I don't want to post something out of sorts or whatever, like what are your suggestions for altering that or fixing that or still being able to utilize an amazing platform like that, but keep it within that flexibility?
Yeah. So still have your content day. You still need to pick a date and go into Smarter Queue and look and see what is posting this week. So it's okay that your stuff is pre-planned. Just have your VA or even you go in and just say, just run through it real quick and just make sure that you aren't posting something that is not sensitive to all the world events, because you don't want to run that risk of being irrelevant or being insensitive. So still have your content day, because I agree, you don't want to, you've put so much work and you've built that up, right? I mean, you've used it for like a year, right? I think I remember when you set it up. And you don't want to waste all that work. Just make sure you're still going in once a week and you're double checking what's being shared.
Yeah.
So that it's not insensitive.
In Smarter Queue, you can set like the actual topics or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I did turn a couple of those off when we talked because I didn't know if they would stay relevant or not. But like things with my family, right? Like when I am creating that personal connection with people, like I can still keep those on because a lot of times it's things that we're doing around the house or, you know, we went to the beach or things like that. So those are always, I shouldn't say always, because in Minnesota you can't always go to the beach. Most of the time, they're always relevant. And so things like that, I think, were easier for me, but that's a great tidbit to be able to kind of adjust and fix.
Yeah, just check. I mean, we had clients, so specifically with Black Tuesday a couple of weeks ago, we had clients that already had stuff scheduled before the don't post on social media stuff came out. And so, I mean, those are conversations we had to have with our clients, and it was fine. But just being hyper aware of things like that. As a business, you have to be, what you post on social media, whether it's your personal page or your business page, 100% affects your business. So you need to be aware and think about how those things and how those world events, how you want to appear as a business during those times. So
absolutely,
just double check what you're posting.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Fourth one, show up consistently. So there are tons and tons of new businesses online right now. I don't know the numbers. I should look them up, the number of increased businesses online. If anyone knows it, you should share it. Otherwise, I'm going to look it up. But there is more businesses online. So you need to be sharing things that are more relevant so that you're standing out from the crowd, because there's a little bit more pressure to stand out from the crowd. But the very first step to that is showing up every single day. So I'm going to get real for a minute. Stop researching the best thing to say on social media. Stop looking up what the recent algorithm changes are. Stop spending hours reading and rereading articles to find the best post, spending hours redoing your background in your office so it's perfect for the video that you're recording. We've all done that, right? I've done that too. Like you get stuck in you get scared, and so you don't post anything. Just stop doing that and show up. That is more important than anything, is just showing up, because your people are looking for someone to lead and guide them. And so it's important that you're showing up. I listened to a podcast yesterday from Neil Patel. I don't know if you guys know him. He's one of my very favorite people. But he said in his podcast yesterday that the days of perfection are over. He said, because we're all working from home anyway, we have to adjust our standards. So it's okay if you have kids interrupt you during videos. It's okay if you stutter through your video. It's okay that your post wasn't on point. The most important thing is that you're showing up every single day. And I was super excited to hear him say that, because one, it validated what I've been saying on social media for a long time, but two, he is my hero. So I was really excited that we had the same thought.
Yeah.
I know that's silly. I promise you that there are people out there waiting to hear your message. They're waiting for you to show up and speak to them. And so lovingly come out of your hiding place and teach us your passion, because I know that it's in you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here listening to this training, and you wouldn't be in Laura's group if you didn't have a passion that you were trying to share with the world. So schedule time on your calendar for every single day this week to post on social media. And if you've already been doing that, then pick one day this week to use live video, to do some sort of video on your social media channels. And if you're already using live video every week and you're already posting to social media every day, and you need some new ways, then reach out to me and I can help you figure that out. But the most important thing is that you are showing up.
So here's
okay. You're almost 49%.
Yeah. And that's just e-commerce. That's not even the amount of businesses that were brick and mortar that came now online. That's
right.
Literally the people that were online, selling online, and all of a sudden, because of the shelter-in-place restrictions of that time and things like that, it jumped 49%. So that's like not even a full window, but that's just a quick stat. I pulled it from TechCrunch, so if you want to go look it up, that's where I grabbed it from. But that's really cool to see as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just, there's so much opportunity too. It's exciting to me. I mean, I've been in online business now for 6 years. Laura, I don't know how long you've been in business, but it's exciting to see all these other people coming on. I mean, it's just, it's more opportunities to teach. It's more opportunities to learn. It's more opportunities to collaborate.
So I've been in business for 11 years.
Okay. So you're twice as long as me.
I started, fun fact for those that don't know, I started the year after my first was born, because the agency that I was working at, we all walked in and they completely laid off and closed doors that day. So we got put on unemployment, and I decided I was going to be a stay-at-home, work-from-home mom and do what I loved online instead. And so it was the greatest, and I'd never turn back.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. It's all sorts of exciting.
Heck yeah.
Okay, the fifth and the last strategy that I'm going to share is something you may have not heard this before, I don't know, but words that you cannot or should not be using in your marketing right now. It's important to pay attention to the language that you're using in your content and on social media to, again, ensure that it's being sensitive to the current times. So I'm going to give you a list of words, but they often appear tacky, and they actually could get you banned on Facebook and Google if you're using them too often. So killer. Okay, this was hard for me because I'm used to saying that's a killer deal.
Really?
Right? Like that's just a common language for me to say that's a killer deal.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit, it's a little insensitive.
Yeah.
Virus, like you shouldn't be saying virus. You should be saying drop dead. Catching, confined, because we're all confined in our homes, right? Viral, spread, or checkup.
Interesting.
That was what 8 words. I know you're probably like, why does that even matter? But it does matter because Google and Facebook are really particular about the words that you're using in your marketing. And they can, and I mean, there's a lot of logistics to go into it, but basically you could get in trouble for using it. So go through your website, go through your social media posts that you have planned, and just make sure that you're not using any of those words, or change them, or just get a little bit more creative in your language.
Yeah.
You need other suggestions? I use thesaurus.com all the time. I know it's nothing fancy, but
what is
I use
the thesaurus? Yeah.
Thesaurus. Yeah. Thesaurus. Sounds like a dinosaur.
Yeah. No, I use it all the time too.
Yeah. So there's nothing fancy there, but okay. So to recap, the 5 strategies you should be using right now. Make sure you have a strategy, because strategies drive results. You should be speaking to your customer's journey in your content, making sure that it's customer focused, that you're talking all about them, that you're flexible, and that even if you're scheduling things in advance, that you're making sure you're aware of what you're posting on social media and that it's relevant to the times, that you're the fourth is that you're showing up consistently every single day, that people know where to find you, and then adjust the words that you're using. So those are the things you should be using right now.
Awesome. When you think of content, like what are your struggles, right? We just talked about 5 basic things that we can start to adjust or change in terms of our strategies, but I'd love to also see if you guys have any questions or things like that that you need guidance on or that you're struggling with. I know, like I brought up the thing where the flexibility thing, it is really hard for me still to this day. I know we have a lot of strategy and things like that put in place now to be able to help with that. But I am one who it does get put on the back burner, to be honest, for my own stuff because I need to focus on my client stuff. So that was a great tip that you gave and provided there. So I don't know if there are other specific questions that people have.
In reference to forgetting your stuff or not doing your own stuff, I do that too. So I keep this post-it on my computer that says I'm my own $1 million client. So that I can remind myself I will never make $1 million if I am constantly putting my stuff off. So
I love it. I need to do something like that.
So my Mondays are my day. Like clients don't get my attention on Mondays.
This is all I have.
That's old.
I know. I need to update it. So maybe I'll put something like that on the top of mine, like you too.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Amber, Cassie says she absolutely loves that. So great. I do too. I'm going to do something. I'll take a picture later when I actually implement it. So Amber says, I am pivoting my business to beginner watercolor students. What kind of messaging content should I be focusing on? I've spent the last 2 years talking about creativity in general and self-care. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, so when you say beginner watercolor students, like you're teaching them, I assume that's what you mean?
I'm going to go off the assumption that that would be yes. Amber, if you want to clarify for us, that would be awesome.
So our general, and we're actually, so in a minute, I'm going to talk to you about my monthly call that I do. And we're actually talking this month about planning your content. I'll just give you a sneak peek. But basically the formula that we follow for our clients is 3 gives and an ask. So we give 3 times, meaning you're giving education, you're making a connection with someone, you're highlighting a power partner, and then you ask for something. So you ask them to sign up for your class, you ask them to sign up for your newsletter, something where it's like you're specifically asking for some support. So I would start with, so I have 15 students who live watercolor with me for 1 hour each week. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. So I would focus on the 3 gives and an ask. So educating them on maybe the brushes that you use, the type of colors that you use, why you do it, techniques. Like use that as an opportunity to educate. The other thing is if you have brushes and colors, like my husband's a painter, so brushes and paint, like if you have brands that you prefer, try to sign up to be an affiliate with them. And then as you're promoting them, you can make a little bit of money on the backside from it. But talking about the colors that you're using and the techniques.
Yeah, for sure.
The education piece is huge.
That, I'll speak to that too, because that's been a game changer. Like I'm in your group, but full disclosure, I also have her help with a lot of our content, right? Case studies and articles and outreach and things like that. And there's a lot that we do together. And I remember being on a call with you and saying like, here is what I would say or structure. You tell me like what I'm missing, what I need, and you put in there different things like the 3 questions and an ask. And I was like, duh. Because it's so hard when you're inside of your own business to think about those things outside, right? That's why it was a complete no-brainer for me to have someone like you come in and say, do this, this, and this, and have your team implement it this way, because sometimes you're so deep and you know what you know, right? Like that's why you specialize in it, but it's hard to look on the other side and say, well, what do they not know? What's going to get them excited about this? What's going to get them involved with what I'm trying to help them with? And so that was a huge eye opener for me, for sure.
Yeah, so we call that expert blindness. We all go through it because you assume that people know everything that's in your head, or you assume that, oh, I already said that once 3 weeks ago, I can't say it again.
Yeah.
You can. People, so the numbers, I mean, it depends on a couple of things, but on average, only about 5 to 10% of your audience is actually seeing your posts. So it is absolutely appropriate to reuse them. It is absolutely, if we post something and I'm like, oh, that was a good post, and nobody responds, we'll change up the verbiage a little bit, change up the picture, and share it again. Like, so it is okay to reshare. Something that we always tell people as they're starting to create content is, what questions are you constantly getting? Either on your sales calls, from your students, like on your social media posts, what questions are people constantly asking? And that's what you should gear your content towards. That's what you can, do a Facebook Live on if you're always getting the same questions.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. So we have another question. Charmaine says, being a retired teacher, I want to make sure I have a variety of ways to teach new concepts and skills. Recently, I've been trying to create content that gives people the big picture, a little more depth, deeper dive. It takes more time, but I think it makes content more helpful.
For sure. And the other thing you can do is, do you do anything with content repurposing, or if you're familiar with that? That is where you are taking your one piece of content and you are turning it into other types. So for example, for me, I do live video once a week, or well, twice a week, but one of those videos I turn into a blog post. I turn into 4 to 6 social media posts. It's my email newsletter. I put it on Medium. Like, I am using it in different ways. So yes, it might take a little bit of time to create the original piece of content, but you can repurpose it and use it in other places. So hopefully that helps lessen the burden a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Amber. Amber says, thank you. I know, I gotta post that link for you guys, where it like shows your guys' faces too. So I'll post that later and have you guys do that, because
you have to like accept permissions.
Yeah, with the new permissions of Facebook, like being in the group or whatever, if you haven't given explicit permission, it'll still show your comments, but it's not going to show your face with it because you haven't given that permission yet. So
I love privacy.
I know. Okay, so I am so super excited and stoked for this, you guys. I am involved in this. I know so many people in this group that are involved with this. We've got Amy that's in there and things like that. So I'm going to have you talk about your monthly strategy amazingness.
That's what I should call it.
Yeah, why not?
It is, so basically it's a monthly membership, but we talk about the strategies that you need to know each month. So strategies and trends to help propel your content forward. I just realized I'm like off center. I'm gonna go this way. There we go. I've
been moving around this whole time, so you're fine.
Yeah. So we are specifically focused on results. That is, I am 100% focused on results. If something isn't working, then you need to change it or move it around or stop doing it or hire someone new. But you need to make sure that you're getting the results. So on the call, we are talking about strategies and trends that are results driven that will help propel your content forward. And then there's also a monthly Q&A call. So as you're beginning to implement, then we do monthly Q&A where you can get all of your burning questions answered. So, and every month we talk about usually 4 to 5 different strategies, similar to this call, but we go much deeper. And so I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what we're talking about this week. So, and the next call's on Monday, June 29th. So we're going to talk about how to use call to actions appropriately. We're going to talk about blogging, which is like the formatting of blogging, some ways that you can make your blogs a little bit more SEO friendly. We're going to talk about content planning in microbursts, which is one of my very favorite things. We're going to be diving in deep into my content process. So Charmaine, that's something that may be of interest to you, of how to plan your content, how to make it beneficial. And then we're also going to talk about email marketing. So, and those topics change every month because it's just, I do a lot of research. I figure out what is working, what isn't, what trends to share with my people. And we talk about those. And then I'm adding the Q&A call. You also are going to get access to this strategic planning training. So where I share our exact process, I give you my checklists, my templates, everything I do to plan content and to make it effective. It's the same thing we use with our clients.
Rich is gold.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there is, I think Laura just shared her link. There's a monthly option and there's an annual option.
I'm in the annual and monthly. I'm in all of the things, aren't I?
Yeah. Yeah. So I know. Yes, she is in all of the things. If you join the annual, I'm actually creating a content planner. It'll be done next week that you'll also get access to. So that you'll have, it'll be a PDF, but it's exactly walks you through what you should be doing. It'll have the content repurposing process in it, which you also will get access to training on is how I do content repurposing, the checklist, templates, all the steps that I take for that. So I'm really excited about the planner because that's something that my people have been asking for. I basically took what I write out every single month on paper and I made it a digital copy.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah. Some of the results really quickly though. So last month we had someone that joined and within 24 hours she had a new client just by changing the questions that she's asking in her Facebook group. And she was able to get enough because the strategies we talked about were how to increase engagement on your social media channels. We had another one that she launched a new product and she's been working the last 6 weeks to show up consistently. She's been doing Facebook Live. She's been doing some pre-recorded video, but more importantly, she's just been showing up consistently. And her launch that she did 6 weeks ago versus her launch that she did on Friday, so just barely, she had a 596% increase.
Wow!
Just by showing up. And implementing some of the things she's been learning in the call. And then we had another one. She was super stoked because she went to her first live networking event in, I don't know, how many months has it been? Like 3 months. And she walked into a room and she said she felt like more people knew her than ever before. Because they said, oh, I've seen your stories and I've seen your Facebook Lives and I've been following your page and I love everything you're doing. Yeah. So for her, that was validation and that was an important metric for her is that she walked into the room and everyone knew who she was.
Yeah. So
that was important to her.
I have something similar. So I'm not in like networking groups or anything like that right now. I have been years in the past. But more recently, in the past probably 30 to 45 days, it's been absolutely so much fun to have people that I'm messaging privately or talking to on different posts that I have on my page and things like that and be like, I see you everywhere. This is so awesome. Like, how do you do this? Like all that kind of stuff. I even had this adorable, sweet girl, Gracie, who messaged me in there and was like, I can't believe I'm doing a training with you soon. I'm totally fangirling because I see you everywhere and I love your stuff. And I was like, I'm fangirling because you're like so sweet to be like telling me I have a fangirl. So it's
awesome.
And it's so much fun to hear that because you don't necessarily see that, right? You see all the work you're putting in. you see the results maybe in ROI and like increase in connections and money bringing in. But really, like the fun for me, at least, is when I hear people saying, like, oh my gosh, I saw you over here and I've been following you and I see you everywhere. And like those types of things are what really get me excited, because that's more fun to know that people are like paying attention to all the work that me and my team are putting in. And so that's really cool.
You're creating the connection.
Yeah.
We all desire connection. Michael Lieberman wrote a book called Connect, and he said that our desire to connect is as great as our need for shelter, food, and water.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true. I know that's been a transition for a lot of people to not be able to interact in person and not be able to hug and love on people. But guess what? You can do that same thing online. It just looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you can do it. And you can have that same connection. So
yeah. Awesome. All right. So to do the monthly option, what is your price currently right now for people who join in right now? This may change in the future, just so you guys know. But for right now, today's live.
So it's $77 a month. And it includes the monthly training, strategy training. It includes the Q&A. And then there's some bonuses in there too. But those are the two main things that you'll notice. And then annually, it's $697 for the year. And that one also includes the planner and the content repurposing training.
So awesome, you guys. Seriously, if you think about annually and that price and all the stuff that you get monthly.
Yeah, I think it saves about 3 months. I think it's about 3 months free.
Right?
I didn't do the math. I should have done the math.
But regardless, even of the free stuff, like all the bonuses, all the awesome that you offload onto us every call. I've been on 3 or 4 of them now. And it's just been amazing to see the different types of levels everybody's at, but how it hits us all to be able to implement in our own way, right? And so what's really cool about this too is it's not like a template and then everybody looks the same. Like it's easy step-by-step things that you can literally do to flip things around and make a world of difference. So that's super awesome.
So that is one thing with the calls, with all the strategies. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
nice
Amber.
With everything that I share, I tier it out. So for example, when we start talking about email marketing, I will say, if you are a brand new person, if email marketing is brand new, do these things. If you've been doing it for a little bit while, do these things. And if you've been doing it for a long time and you're ready for the next step strategies, do these things. So everything that I teach, I break out that way, because there are little things that you can do no matter what level you're on to be effective.
Yep. And it really helps no matter what level you're on. Because I've noticed there are certain things that I am completely not involved in at all that I was like, oh, that would be super easy to implement if I just did it this way that Kristy said. And then other things that I was already doing and not necessarily more advanced in, but just more background in, right? But there were still things that she would tweak and say, okay, do it like this, and like improve not only the time that I was putting into it, the time my team's putting into it, but the way we're delivering it and things like that. So it was really cool to see how no matter where I was at, like everything was still relevant to me in a specific way. So yeah.
I'm glad you like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope to see you guys all on Monday in the group, because seriously, the value is so amazing. I can't say it enough.
Thank you. It's my baby.
You are so more than welcome. Awesome, you guys. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. And thank you so much, Kristy, for hopping in here and giving us those amazing tips.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.